Usually, it's Ginny on the mic, but today you've got Jimmy, and we've got a lot to get through. And this is phase 4. If you haven't seen the previous phases, go check them out. The links are in the description below. So, let's get started. For the first time in years, Roblox didn't feel loud. No blaring startup music, no flashing avatars sprinting across the screen, no neon thumbnails screaming for attention. When people logged in, the menu loaded slower than usual, almost like the game was thinking. At first, everyone assumed it was a bug or something like that, but then they noticed the iPad kids. They were still there, but wrong. The animated faces weren't looping perfectly anymore, okay? Smiles didn't snap into place. Eyes blinked out of sync. One face would stare forward, then subtly glance down, like it had just realized it was being watched. The silence felt intentional. Inside Roblox games, things changed too. Lobbies felt emptier, not because players were gone, but because nobody was spamming emotes and soundboards. Footsteps echoed longer. Wind sounds were suddenly noticeable. Some players swore the lightning looked warmer, even though no update was announced. The iPad kids' faces began to soften. Their exaggerated expressions slowly collapsed into neutral ones. Smiles melted into straight lines. Wide cartoon eyes drooped, heavy with something unfamiliar. Tiredness, awareness, maybe even regret, who knows. One face opened its mouth. Nothing came out. It closed it again, like it had forgotten what it was supposed to say. That's when people started realizing this wasn't horror in the usual sense. There were no jump scares, no monsters, no blood, just a creeping feeling of watching something that had been overstimulated for too long finally crash. Roblox itself felt like it was healing. Old places resurfaced on the front page. Calm games, empty roleplay maps, always with no rewards at the end. Games that didn't beg you to stay, just existed. Servers where players stood still together, doing nothing, and somehow that felt right. The iPad kids' animations changed again. Instead of hyper reacting, they paused. Instead of instantly smiling, they hesitated. One face frowned, not dramatically, but slightly, like it was confused by its own emotions. Another blinked slowly and looked away from the camera for the first time ever. That moment hit harder than any scream because it felt like consent. People expected the faces to turn scary again, expected a twist, expected Roblox to snap back to chaos. But it didn't. The silence stayed. Not dead silence, soft silence, like a room after everyone's finally fallen asleep. A message appeared in one game. Plain text, no font styling, no animation. I think we were too loud. No username, just that. Roblox wasn't broken. It wasn't dying. It was recovering. Like a city after a blackout. You know, where everyone steps outside and realizes how quiet the stars actually are. The iPad kids weren't erased. They weren't punished. They were released. The faces gradually became less animated, more still, until they looked like regular avatars again. Imperfect, human, quiet. One face stayed on screen longer than the others. It didn't smile, it didn't frown, it just breathed. And then it said softly, "Can we play slower?" The screen faded. Not to black, but to the old Roblox blue, the nostalgic one. The kind that reminds you of logging in with no plan, no goals, no pressure to be entertaining. No autoplay, no next video, no infinite scrolling. Just Roblox. Existing. People closed the app that night feeling weirdly calm, like they just witnessed something end. Not a platform, not a game, but the end of an era of noise. Roblox didn't need to scream anymore to be alive. It learned how to be quiet. And in that quiet, it started to heal. This was the end of the revenge of the iPad kids. The last phase has finally ended in peace. That's it for me. Ginny's back next time, but I'll be back when you least expect it. Catch you later!